We all share the belief that physical activity extends life.
I mean, that seems like settled science, right?
Absolutely. It's pretty much a given these days.
But today, we are diving deep into some really fascinating research. It kind of challenges how we should think about exercise, suggesting that picking the right sport doesn't just add months to your life. It could add almost a decade.
Yeah, that's the core tension we're unpacking today. We're focusing on the findings from the Copenhagen City Heart Study, or CCH.
Or CCHS.
And when you talk about high-quality data, this is really it. It's a serious prospective study. They tracked 8,577 healthy Danish individuals.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
It is. And over an immense period up to 25 years. We're talking 1991 right through to 2017.
Quarter of a century.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they weren't just asking, do you exercise? They were tracking participation in 8 specific types of leisure time physical activity. LTPA, they call it.
Okay, so our mission today is to figure out what separates the big winners from the rest of the pack in this study. Precisely. We're looking at the dramatic differences, the differential improvements in life expectancy tied to these specific sports.
Because the data showed that, wow, yeah, all activity helped.
Which is good news in itself.
Definitely. But the longevity gains were, well, shockingly unequal. The researchers used the term widely divergent.
They did. And to really appreciate these findings, you have to understand their method a bit. They compared everyone to a sedentary group, naturally.
The baseline.
Right. But they also used something called multivariable adjustment.
Okay, what does that mean for us listening?
In plain English, it means they statistically controlled for the big things that could skew the result: age, sex, income, smoking, education, even how much total time people spent exercising each week.
So they tried to isolate the effect of the sport itself.
Exactly. So when we look at these numbers, we can be pretty confident the difference isn't just because, say, tennis players are richer or smoke less. It seems tied to the activity.
Okay, that's crucial context. With that rigor in mind, let's get straight to the scoreboard. The life expectancy gains.
Yeah, let's do it.
These are the years added compared to being sedentary after all that adjustment. And the ranking. Well, it's genuinely surprising.
Okay, maybe let's start at the bottom. Smallest gain first, working our way up.
Good idea. All right, the activity linked to the smallest measured benefit. Health club activities. Things like weights, treadmills, ellipticals, just 1.5 years added.
Only 1.5 years. Interesting. Okay, next.
Calisthenics, like body weight exercises. That was 3.1 years. And very close behind, jogging at 3.2 years.
Okay, so jogging is still relatively low on this list. What's next?
Moving up the scale, swimming comes in at 3.4 years, then cycling at 3.7 years.
All right, getting a bit higher now. 3.7 for cycling.
And now for the top 3. And this is where it gets really interesting, because they all involve playing with other people.
Ah, the social factor kicking in, perhaps.
Seems like it. In third place, soccer or football, depending where you are, adding 4.7 years.
Okay, nearly 5 years. Respectable.
Then, in second place, badminton. A big jump here, 6.2 years.
Wow, 6.2 for badminton. Okay. And the top spot.
And leading the pack, with an absolutely stunning longevity gain, tennis, adding 9.7 years to life expectancy.
9.7 years. Almost a decade.
Wait, let's just pause right there. That list. The disparity is just shocking, isn't it?
It really is.
We're talking the difference between 1.5 years for hitting the gym and nearly 10 years for hitting a tennis ball. That fundamentally changes how you might look at your free time.
It absolutely should. The scale is huge. And even within those top spots, you see big gaps. Like you said, at tennis, 9.7 years, but badminton, another social racket sport, is 6.2.
Still great, but yeah, 3.5-year difference just between those two.
It's fascinating.
And you mentioned they controlled for things like income. They even reran the numbers just looking at people with university degrees. Right?
They did, yeah. And the ranking stayed pretty much the same.
So it strongly suggests it's not just, richer folks playing tennis. There's something about the activity itself, or maybe the context it happens in.
Exactly. Which brings us right to what seems to be the most compelling explanation offered by the CCHS study. The critical role of the social element.
Yeah, look at that. Top 3 again. Tennis, badminton, soccer. You just can't do them alone, can you?
Nope. They inherently require 2 or more people. They demand interaction, maybe some coordination, shared goals, even if it's just hitting a shuttle puck back and forth.
And this connects to a whole lot of other research, doesn't it, about social connection and health?
It really does. The study itself points this out. They mention that social isolation isn't just, a nice-to-have social issue. It's a major health risk factor.
Major.
They list it as among the strongest predictors of reduced life expectancy. That puts having friends or perhaps regular social interaction through sport potentially on par with things like managing blood pressure or quitting smoking.
Wow. Okay, that's a big statement. That's the key takeaway right there. Maybe.
It could be. We spend so much time optimizing diets, counting steps, tracking heart rates.
Right. All the metrics.
But the CCHS data strongly suggests this human connection piece might be the overlooked longevity nutrient, if you like.
The ultimate longevity nutrient. I like that.
And it gets even stronger. The researchers cited a big meta-analysis that's a study of studies. It showed that having strong, positive interpersonal connections offered twice as much protection against dying early compared to just being physically active.
Wait, say it again? Twice as much.
Double the protective effect.
Yeah.
So being connected seemed more powerful for longevity than exercise alone, according to that analysis.
That's incredible. That's the moment you realize, okay, maybe these sports like tennis and badminton, you're getting a massive 2-for-1 deal.
Exactly. You get the physical benefits, the cardiovascular workout, but you're also getting the stress reduction, the psychological well-being, the social support network that comes built in when you play regularly with a partner or a team.
Yeah, you have to show up, you rely on someone, you communicate, maybe laugh a bit, solve little problems together on the court or field.
Precisely. Think about doubles tennis or just a casual badminton game. You aren't necessarily sprinting flat out the whole time, but that consistent low-level social engagement. The study suggests it reduces psychological distress, and that translates potentially into better long-term health, particularly cardiovascular health.
Okay, this social angle is really compelling. But now we have to tackle the paradoxes in this data.
Yeah.
Because there are some really puzzling results here.
Definitely.
Let's start with the activity that showed the least benefit, health club activities. Only 1.5 years.
Yeah, this is the one that kind of defies common fitness logic, doesn't it?
Totally. People hitting the gym, doing weights, cardio machines. You'd think they'd score higher.
You would, especially when you consider the next point.
Which is the absolute irony. This health club group, they reported the longest total weekly exercise time.
By far. They were clocking nearly 10 hours a week on average, 599 minutes.
10 hours. These are dedicated people, the most committed in terms of sheer time spent exercising. And yet,
the smallest longevity gain. It's a harsh finding. The study offers a couple of strong potential explanations, and guess what? They circle back to our main themes.
Let me guess. Social isolation.
That's number one. The researchers suggest many people in a gym setting exercise alone. Think headphones on, focused on the treadmill or elliptical. You might be surrounded by people.
But you're not with them. You're in your own bubble.
Exactly. You're missing that inherent social interaction of a team or partner sport.
Okay, that makes sense. What was the second possible reason?
The second factor relates to intensity. Often exercise on those stationary machines is, stationary. It's continuous, often at a moderate intensity.
Right, steady-state cardio.
Yeah, and that might mean a lower average working heart rate compared to the kind of explosive bursts you get in tennis or soccer stops, start, sprint, recover.
The interval effect again. Which leads us neatly to the second big paradox. Jogging.
Jogging. The classic fitness activity.
Globally popular, probably what most people think of first when they think getting fit. Yet it only delivered a modest 3.2-year gain here, below cycling, below swimming.
It's surprisingly low on the list, and the CCHS actually has previous work specifically on joggers that complicates the picture even more.
Oh, really? What did that show?
It showed what they call a U-shaped association between the dose of jogging, how much and how hard people ran, and their mortality risk.
Okay, a U-shape. Can you break that down simply? What does that mean?
Yeah, think of it like this. The bottom of the U is the sweet spot. That's where you get the maximum benefit. Right. On the left side of the U, you're doing too little jogging, so you don't see much benefit compared to being sedentary. Makes sense.
Okay.
But the surprising part is the right side of the U. If you go past that sweet spot and start doing too much jogging, too fast, too often, too long,
the benefit drops off.
The benefit drops off significantly. In fact, the most strenuous joggers in that earlier CCHS analysis had a mortality rate that wasn't statistically different from the completely sedentary group.
Yeah. Wow. So extreme jogging could be almost as bad for longevity as no jogging at all.
According to that specific analysis, yes, it strongly suggests there's an optimal dose.
And what did they find was the optimal dose? The bottom of the U.
The maximum benefit, the lowest mortality risk, was found in light joggers.
Light joggers. Define light.
These were people running only about 1 to 2.4 hours total per week.
Okay, not that much.
No. And at a slow or average pace. Crucially, on no more than 3 running days per week.
3 days or fewer. Pace matters, frequency matters, duration matters.
Exactly. It really argues for moderation, doesn't it? For longevity, at least, pushing towards extreme endurance might not be the best strategy. Maybe less is more, or at least moderate is more.
So we've got the social factor, potentially explaining why tennis, badminton, soccer are at the top, and this U-shape possibly explaining why jogging isn't higher. But what about the purely physical side of things?
Right, let's move beyond just the social hypothesis.
Yeah, is there something about the way you move in tennis or soccer that's different from, say, swimming or cycling, even if the total effort is similar?
Well, that's the other main physiological mechanism the researchers discuss. Those top-ranking sports, tennis, badminton, soccer, they all involve those interval bursts of exercise we mentioned.
Stop-start. Explosive movements.
Right. You're using large muscle groups, often changing direction quickly, whole body movements. It's very different from the continuous rhythmic motion of swimming or cycling or jogging.
It's basically high-intensity interval training, HIIT, but disguised as a game.
That's a great way to put it. And this fits with a growing body of evidence suggesting that these short, repeated bursts of higher intensity work might actually be superior to continuous, moderate activity for improving key health outcomes.
Like what kind of outcomes?
Things like cardiorespiratory fitness, vascular function. The CCHS paper even cites some intervention studies, actual experiments, where, for example, structured soccer training led to better improvements in fitness markers compared to a matched program of continuous running.
Interesting. So it's not just that you exercise or even how long, but how the intensity varies minute by minute.
It seems plausible. So the longevity champs, like tennis and soccer, they might be delivering this powerful 1-2 punch. You get the physiological benefits potentially boosted by the interval nature, and you get the massive psychological and health benefits from the guaranteed social interaction and support. They're kind of efficient longevity vehicles in that sense.
That synthesis makes a lot of sense. They tick both boxes, the physical and the psychosocial.
It seems that way. However, we absolutely have to put our responsible hats on here and reiterate the big limitation.
Always important. What is it?
This is an observational study. We see a link, a very strong association between playing tennis and living longer.
Right, correlation.
Exactly. Correlation, not necessarily causation. We can't definitively say from this study alone that picking up a tennis racket causes you to live 9.7 years longer. We can only report that these activities and longevity gains are strongly linked in this large group of people.
Okay, that's a fair and crucial point. What else? Any other limitations?
Well, there's the messy reality of real life. These were Danes in Copenhagen, generally quite active people.
Right.
And most participants didn't just do one sport, they were active in multiple ways. Cycling, for instance, was super common. It accounted for something like 55% to 71% of the total exercise duration for people who listed other sports like soccer or tennis as their main one.
So everyone's cycling anyway, pretty much.
Pretty much. So the results aren't happening in a vacuum. People playing tennis were likely also cycling, maybe swimming too. It reflects a generally active lifestyle.
So the added benefit is layered on top of that baseline activity.
That's how you could interpret it. On top of a generally active lifestyle, these specific sports, particularly the social, interactive, perhaps interval-based ones, seem to provide this extra, quite frankly, overwhelming layer of longevity protection.
Okay, so wrapping this up. This deep dive really does shift the perspective on fitness, doesn't it?
I think so.
Wow. Yes, any movement is definitely better than sitting on the couch.
Absolutely. Point number one.
Point number one. But if you're aiming for the maximum possible gain for your lifespan based on this CCHS data, the big prize might not go to the person logging the most solitary miles or the most hours in the gym.
It seems not.
The longevity champion appears to be the activity that successfully weaves together high-benefit physical demands with those consistent, regular social bonds.
It encourages us to perhaps stop viewing exercise only as a sort of biological chore we have to tick off.
Yeah, getting my steps in.
Right.
Uh,
And maybe start seeing it more as a vehicle for connection, for fun, for reducing that psychological stress, which we know is so damaging.
Find the fun, find the friends, find the fitness, all in one package.
That seems to be the winning formula here. And it leaves us with a really provocative thought, I think. If social support, as that meta-analysis suggested, can offer twice the protective effect against early mortality compared to physical activity alone, well, it really makes you reconsider how you allocate your time, doesn't it?
It really does.
So maybe the final question for you listening is this. Reflecting on this power of social support versus sheer physical exertion in the longevity game, what activity could you build into your life that maximizes both your fitness and those vital interpersonal connections? Who are you going to call for a game this weekend?